Yeah. I say that all the time. Everything's your fault. It's your fault.
It's all your fault. You're having a good life, it's
Yes.
your fault. You're having a
Yeah.
bad life, it's your fault. You got yourself in a bad situation, it's your fault.
It's your fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, that's good. Like, if it's everywhere, if it's not your fault and it's the world's fault, you got to go change 8 billion people, right? Like, you're stuffed.
Well, that's if you believe in 8 billion people.
Well, that's if you believe in it. Yes, exactly.
What is your estimate? Just since we went down that road for a second, I think there's less than 2 billion.
I've been around Australia. I've been through about 15 states in the US. I've been through the Balkans and Italy, and they're all empty. There's no mass population anywhere. I mean, when you get into big cities, sure, but even that's changed. So I mean, I don't know. It's definitely less than four. I would probably go around. I mean, I think I'd even go as low as a billion and a half.
Yeah, that's right. I'm right there too. I was at 3 billion, but then after looking further, when they took the top 50 or 80 cities in China.
Yes.
Then they're like, where are the rest of the people? It was like less than a billion people. Well less. It was crazy.
Yeah. I did see that video. That was really cool. Well done. But yeah, it's definitely like the realm's empty, man. Like it's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found out, you want to trigger a normie, you bring up flat Earth, right? And but I found you bring up Tataria to any normie, they're like, "No, that's interesting. That's interesting." But Tataria, for some reason, or the old world, I'll call it, it's the same thing. Triggers a lot of flat earthers. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. It's. I mean, it's like Tartaria, like the whole concept that basically everything in history that we're told is wrong.
No, that's a fact.
It's a big wake-up call, right? It's like flat Earth. It's basically telling people your whole paradigm, everything you believe that life is and that this realm is wrong, right? But they've both got this same sort of message, and there's a big crossover. And I mean, Tartaria is great because you can talk to normies about it. It's definitely not as confronting as flat Earth, right?
I find it's a great way to warm people up to flat Earth. When people ask me what I do, I start off with, our history is a lie. And then they're like fascinated, and then it peels right into flat Earth. So it's beautiful.
It's good, isn't it? And they can go out to their cities. Like pretty much anyone can walk around and see this stuff, for the first time, right? With realizing it, oh my God.
That's what I tell people. I say, once you look into this, you'll go out in your hometown and you'll go, how did I miss that? How did I miss that my whole life? I mean, I just yesterday we were going somewhere and there's this old church. I'm looking at this thing. It's got all of everything, that we talk about, the domes, the towers, the cymatics. And I'm like, what's the story behind this? So that's why I love when all of these channels. Yours. I'm a big fan of My Lunch Break. Just the way he's breaking down these old stories. Did you see the video I shared on the app about Yankee Stadium?
No, I don't think I saw that one.
The building of Yankee Stadium. It was supposedly built in like less than a year, and the guy asked AI to say, "Hey, if all the materials were just 10 miles away, and they're using horse and buggies, how long would it take to get the materials there? They're readily available." And just 10 miles away. And it would take like 7 years or something with ridiculous amount of horses and then their hammers and chisels and it finally got AI to admit that not only is it highly unlikely, it's impossible, and then it hung up on them. It's very, very fun. Very funny video.
Yeah, it's true, man. Like Australia is the same. Australia was full of these massive huge buildings like in the mid 1800s, right? And we were supposedly colonized 1778. Is that right? Yeah, no, 1788. But there's no, like, I've searched and you can't find where the bricks came from. You can't find where the iron came from or the glass. They basically just say it came over in boats, but then you do the calculations of how much glass has to come over. And in these small boats, like they weren't big boats that were coming across, the ocean back then. And they apparently brought, to Australia, it's like a 6 to 9 month voyage one way. And they were bringing camels and horses.
And they're bringing marble from across the world to build it for a town that only has a small number of people. It's
Yeah,
incredible.
it's all like that. Melbourne City was a city and it had like 3,000 people or something and had
It's
these
built by
massive
convicts.
government
It was built by
buildings.
convicts, right? That were just sent there, and they decided to build
The
these
whole,
incredible structures. Amazing.
yeah,
Real
I
quick
think they trained,
before we started talking
yeah.
about what time it is, you're here, and it's 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm here, and the
No,
sun's
I'm
about to
8 o'clock at night.
oh,
I'm
eight
where the
o'clock at
sun's,
night. Sorry, my bad, my bad.
yes.
8 o'clock at night, my
Oh,
bad.
and you're on the other side. Yeah, yeah,
And
right.
I'm over here, and the sun's just about to rise, which is over here, and it's coming around.
Nice.
Well, there's a lot of effort to shut down the Gleason's map, but more and more evidence is coming out that it's very accurate,
Yeah, yeah. Well, the sky clock, right? The sky is a clock. You
right?
know, there's a reason it was segmented into 12 and we've got 12 hours, right?
Well,
Like
that
12 zodiac signs. But I mean, I wonder if we used to have 13 hours,
I don't know.
13,
I haven't looked into that.
13 months, right? 13 star signs. You haven't heard that? Because if you divide 365 by 28 days, it's
I
13 with
know
one day
that.
left over.
I
Yeah,
know that,
yeah.
but I don't know how 13 hours would work. I haven't thought about that.
Well, I just thought of that. If we've got 12 zodiac signs and it's the sky, and when we've got 12 hours a day,
Well, it's
that
not.
gives us a 24-hour clock.
Yeah, it's 24 hours a day. They said, you know what?
Well, okay, it is,
Let's
yes.
give
Good
them
point.
clocks, but we'll make the sun hand go around twice every day to keep them confused. And then we'll keep
Yeah,
removing an hour
that's
and
right.
adding an hour throughout the year, just to screw them up.
That's an interesting point. Why do we only have 1 to 12 and it goes twice? Why don't we have 1 to 24?
Yeah.
That's very strange. But yes. Anyway, what were we talking about? Yeah, I mean, 2025. How's everything in America? Like, obviously, we see everything, it's all secondhand. You don't know what's going on, but it seems like, many states have been, slammed by the weather. You're getting snow in weird places and fires. And what's it like over there?
That's all true. I spent the winter in Mexico, you know, which is
Yeah.
actually quite amazing. Connecticut, where I live, is right here. And I went all the way over to just there, right? And it's 87 degrees Fahrenheit here, while it's 15 degrees Fahrenheit just that little tilt away. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you explain that to me? Right? And they say it's because of the tilt of the earth. We're tilted towards the sun or away from the sun. But what about the
Yep. Yep.
spin of the earth? The spin does the same thing tilt does, right? Because
Well, yeah, 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 yeah. As
if
far
you,
as the
if you
focus of the sun, yeah,
yeah. So at sunrise, and I've been saying this a lot. I'm trying to find a better way to say it. When I was in Mexico, when the sun is a couple degrees off the horizon early in the morning, the heat is blasting on me. I can take my shirt off. I can get a suntan. I feel the heat, right? But then at noon in Connecticut, just that little way around the ball, just a couple thousand miles, at noon when the sun is as high as it will be for the day, you can look at the sun and can't even feel the heat on your face,
I know,
right?
right? It's almost like the sun's local or something, isn't
Yeah, it's almost like that.
it?
It's almost like that. My
It is. Yeah.
my 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 take on the earth is, and we're all learning. We're all learning. I used to be a glober. I hate to admit it. But I think we
Oh,
live
we all
in
know.
some sort of system like this, right? Where there's energetic, physical dome, whatever it is, we don't know. And you got all the luminaries going around. You got the planets, doing their own path. But we live here on this thin plane. Now, if we looked at
Yeah.
this whole system, this thin plane, I would say, let's just say it's 1% of the system. That's all
Yeah.
I'm talking about. Okay. The rest might be a simulation, right?
Mm.
We're in this physicality where our mind is connected to this entire thing, and they're trying to keep us disconnected. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree. Like, yeah, the plane of inertia, everything's a torus as far as we can see, and everything's energy, right? And that's just the physical plane where I guess that's why we've got polarity, right? That's sort of the positive, negative coming in.
Right.
So, I mean, this is the thing. I know that we're not on on a ball, a space ball, like shooting through space. Like, I know that. I know
That's what we all agree on. And where you go beyond that, that's okay. As long as we're not on a ball, I don't care if you think it's a physical, a non-physical. I mean, an extended plane. If it's a realm, if it's whatever, it's not a ball. We're on the same team. We're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, exactly. And water obviously always finds its level. But I mean, yeah, like how big is this place? I mean, that's a good question. That's a fun thing to look into, isn't it? Like, is there more rings outside the ice ring? Are there
I
other domes maybe that are other worlds? Like, is
are you a believer in more land beyond where we're allowed to go?
yeah, well, it's definitely a high possibility for sure.
Me too.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely. I mean, because when I first, like years ago when I was first looking into flat Earth and I was, trying to explain all the things and how does this work and I always got stuck at aliens and I'm like, alien, like there's clearly something happening with some other whatever they are. And I thought, well, maybe it's just interdimensional, but as far as physical, craft and beings, then outside an ice wall that can fly here, or maybe they have to go under it. There's lots of talk of subterranean stuff going on. That's much more plausible, right, than some spaceship that's come 10 million miles and then gets here and crashes. I mean, that's a silly story.
100%. You know, it's extraterrestrials could be just coming from the extra terra right here. It's a day trip. It's not an
Yeah.
impossible trip through Narnia space. Um,
Mm.
the biblical flat earthers get very upset. They're like, there's nothing, there's no more land. Well, if you look at here's my thought. God said, just look at all of the scripture. He created the earth, created the firmament. Who's to say that the firmament isn't a million miles past 60 degrees south? Okay,
Mm.
that's biblical. And then my theory, anything in the sky is a theory. Okay, my theory on the sun is that the source sun is above the firmament, above it from us. Okay, and we're seeing it projected in like through a lens. You've seen that,
Yep.
right? Of course, you've seen that. And the biblical earthers freak out. I'm like, wait a minute. When I say above, I just mean above. We're in the air pocket. Then the firmament starts. I don't know how thick it is. It could be in between. It could be in the firmament. So my analogy is when you put your milk in the refrigerator, do you put it under the refrigerator? Or you put it in the refrigerator, right? Because God
Yeah.
said that He put the sun in the firmament. In
Yeah.
it
Yeah. Yeah.
is it under it or
Yeah.
in it? Which one is it?
Good point. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of talk about that. Is it a sun that's shooting out of the center of the earth, up near Hyperborea, or is it being
I like that one
projected? Like,
actually.
yeah, that's an interesting one. And the sun and the moon, are they just reflections of the same source light? Because the moon's a weird one. It just keeps disappearing every, 28 days. And
It's gone for 2 days and no one sees it. And yeah,
that, and there's no explanation. Like it's the shadow of the earth, isn't it, or something that I don't know. It's some crazy story, but yeah, no, I think that there's, definitely, well, yeah, it's a great possibility that there's more land out there. And maybe we've been locked in like that map behind you, right? The planisphere, what is it, 1497? And that shows all the land out there. And the interesting thing with that map is there's no Australia, right?
yeah.
But
Well, is this Australia
there's
over
all the
here?
land exactly one of those.
Yeah.
And think about Australia, we've got different animals than any other, continent, country on Earth, right? We've got these marsupials and things. We don't have any mammals like the true mammals here.
What
So
you?
it's interesting, right? That we've
Yeah.
got a different fauna, flora, and on that map, it looks like we were one of those outside lands that just happened to, I guess, be inside when it froze over.
Yeah. I got a question for you. So let me find a better map. Map. Hold on, I'll just go here. Um, so we got the Gleason's map here.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you're are you south or north?
In Australia, I'm middle on
You're in
the
the
east
middle. All right.
coast.
All right, but like what are the temperatures here in in the summer in December, like on
In
the
where
south
I
coast,
am,
on the south coast here.
like if you go to Tasmania, the little island off the bottom,
Yep.
they get snow. It's freezing. It's like a different country. Like they obviously, yeah, obviously get down to zero Celsius. Um,
But
where I am, if you go, oh, sorry, no, in the summer,
in the summer.
they'd get up to probably 30 and down to,
All right.
15 or something.
So my point is, uh, Southern Australia, Southern South America, and Southern Africa in the summer, you have some mild temperatures. You do.
Mm.
And then just a couple thousand miles away, it's 20 below zero.
Well,
Why the big
yeah.
jump?
So in the desert, it's cold. It's like it loses heat. It's really hot in the day. But on the coast, like in summer, it doesn't normally dip that much below 20 degrees, right? And up to sort of 40. But when I was in the US, I was in like the Carolinas, North Carolina, and it gets down to freezing. And then in the summer, apparently it gets up into the high 30s,
Yeah,
which is crazy that it has such a swing. Like we don't get
like
like
the
that
sun
here.
is local
Obviously,
or something.
and like the sun is local or something. Can't work it out, can you?
Yeah,
It's
no,
just
well, I can on a flat Earth, I can. But that's crazy. That's crazy. What's your take on the moon map?
yeah, man, it's interesting, isn't it?
It, that's my take too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, the most interesting thing I think is that all the work he's done with time zones and like he's mapped all airplane flights and everything. Obviously it looks a bit different to what we're used to, but it's also like the Prague clock. The
Yeah,
Prague clock. Like,
absolutely.
so there's sort of like a bigger central sun that's melting a pond and it rotates around a bigger plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
they changed the graphic on the inside circle here, right?
yes, yeah, that was like not that long ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. They made it a little more modern. Looks like a globe
And
now.
it's turned into a globe. Yeah.
Yeah. I heard in Prague, because it's such a historic city, you have to like file like 12 permits and go through all these approval boards before you could literally change a fence post, right? But they changed the clock
Yeah.
without telling anybody. They just the oldest clock in the world. We're just
Yeah,
gonna
man.
change this and
I know. Well, what do you think about extra land within our known realm?
oh, I think there's more land out here. I think the South Pacific is bigger than they're telling us. Um,
Yeah.
and I don't even know if Antarctica goes all the way around. It literally could just be, it could just be a whole bunch of different continents out there. I don't know that it's continuous all the way around. How would you know? What if it's just like this? What if this is the Antarctica that the base they went to, and over here they went to a base, and over here
Hmm.
go to a different base? How would you know? If you pulled up,
Well, yeah, exactly.
look at this thing here. If you pulled up to the middle of this, and they told you you're on Antarctica, that's bigger than South America and America combined, pretty much, right? So
Yeah.
you don't know where you are.
No.
You
And,
don't
and this
know.
is the problem, right? We're just not allowed to find out.
Yeah.
Like that's why they took away the airships, right? We need to bring back the airships, man. Get a bit of
Um,
free travel going on.
I've been seeing so much new stuff on airships. It's so amazing, right? And about radium
Crazy.
engine. I'm sure you know about this. Radium. They had radium engines, and you know what the exhaust of a radium engine is?
Oxygen, is
Helium.
it? Helium, is it?
So if you have a
Really?
radium engine that can, I think they run for centuries, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Making
exactly. Yeah.
helium that they can just
Making
refuel,
helium.
relift the ship with.
Wow, I haven't seen that. I'm gonna have to look for that.
Yeah, they don't want
That's
us knowing
cool.
about radium. But
Yeah, well, radiums, I mean, the fireplaces, right? That was another big one that we were looking at, the fireplaces, and because
yeah,
they make no sense if you got to keep, especially in these palaces, right? You got to bring the wood up like these massive grand
every couple
staircases and
hours,
stuff. Yeah,
right? Um,
that's
yeah, that's amazing. But no, that's just crazy. That's crazy talk. Awesome. Campbell, why would they lie? Why would
What?
they lie? Why would they go to all the effort to lie? That's my
Why would they do
question.
that? Well, I mean, it's to control us, isn't it? To make us feel small and insignificant.
I think the only control they have over us is fear. The only control they have over us is fear. False evidence appearing real, FEAR,
Yep.
right? Because
Yeah. Yep.
I don't think they're allowed to break our free will. I think we're here. This is David Weiss's personal view. I think that we choose to come here, right? We're all part of this living system.
Yep.
And we choose to come here with a path. And that path is our destiny, if you will. Okay. It's pre-scripted, but we still have free will. I can take a right hand turn and go this way. But whenever you go off your path, things become more difficult, right? If you take a little
Yeah.
tangent and your career is going a different way and it's taking you away from your path, your soul is going to be screaming at your mind, your conscious mind. Your mind, if it's lost in the news, steering your mind northeast, west, south news, your soul could become depressed. And that's where depression comes from. When you're not listening, you're like, hey, I made this thing. We're supposed to go this way. Okay, you're having this experience. It's going to get rough, right? And then when you
Yep.
get back on the right path, you feel in tune, right? So you have free will, but there's a predestined journey, right? And you might go like this to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'd
So I
agree.
see it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the problem. Yeah. They got everyone fearing, through their programming to be themselves. And so they're all going to these jobs because they don't trust themselves. So there's no other option, right? And then they lead these depressing lives. I mean, it's interesting, right? I think if you're, straight too far from the path, sometimes, the universe sends a Mack truck to clean you up and get you back, right? Like you
Right.
sort of go and get tired. And if you don't listen, it's a bang. And then like, okay,
I was
okay,
I think
I hear
about
you.
when somebody's life gets so bad they end up killing themselves, that that they just have to do that same life over again. They just have to come
Yeah,
back and do it again until they get
yes.
past that stumbling block or stay on their path a little better to get by it. Right?
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's how it works too. I
So
totally
so
agree with that. Yeah.
so without saying that word again, with unaliving yourself, um,
Unaliving.
that
Yes.
that well, we got to
YouTube.
be careful. We got to be careful.
Allegedly.
Yeah, unaliving yourself.
Entertainment only.
Yeah, entertainment. Oh, absolutely. That's the worst decision you could make because you're just going to have to do it again. I mean, imagine
Yeah.
like climbing a mountain and just before you get to the top, you throw yourself off the mountain and you have to climb up again. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I'd agree with that. Yeah. And yeah, and it is. It's all fear, like everything, like all the law, right? It only runs because we agree with it and abide with it because we're fearful of the repercussions, right?
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. Like I've been looking into that lately because, you know, I find it very hard to give the government money, to drive my car on the roads that I pay for with the tax they take out of the petrol, right? Like, why should I pay someone to drive my car on my road? It's very, but most people do it just because of the fear of what might happen, you know? So I think we've all got to get a bit braver, right? And like understand, like start embodying. It's one thing to understand that no one actually has control, or can rule you, but it's a different thing to take action, right? When you take action, then you can get wisdom because you know.
Did you see allegedly Dave's video about the Nephilim? How they're here? They're the fallen angels that want us, that hate humanity, but there's only a small number of them, and so they're trying to control us and they're trying to keep our numbers down. I mean, the depopulation that's going on is crazy. Um,
Yeah.
and they're, I'm a believer, and again, this is me. This is just, we're all just trying to figure this place out, that these evil spirits, if you will, can possess you if you allow them. Like if you're in a really bad spot in your life and really low, really in fear, and you're just like, I'm in a horrible spot. I need, I need to get out of this. That's where an evil spirit could like basically offer you, oh, let me help you, let me come over and take over and start talking for you and get you out of the spot. But then it doesn't go
Mm.
well from there. That's how I see it.
Or if you're desperate for fame.
Yeah, yeah. Same
Like,
thing. Same thing.
same
Yeah.
thing, right? Take me
So,
over, man.
so many,
Make me
so
rich.
many, so many artists, big artists, have said that they sold their soul for fame.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's so many, yeah, online. But I mean, just watching, all these weird, awards, rituals they have, and all these strange video clips and Olympic opening ceremony. Like it's pretty blatant. They're not really hiding it anymore. I think they know that there's a time of whatever you want to call it, judgment, right? Coming. Something's gonna happen to change their position, and they're just like, well, we don't care anymore, right? Let's
I
just
like,
go
I,
for broke.
I like what you said, where the polarity of the Earth is changing from negative to positive.
Yeah, man.
Talk
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, yeah, positive charge. So like this is, we've probably all heard of like the golden age, and you have like the bronze and then the dark ages, and so basically it's cycles of time that go from good to not so good and then back up to good, which is basically a positive charge to a negative charge and back up, same as a sine wave, right?
Yeah,
You got the dips, which are negative, and so we're obviously we've been going through a little bit of a negative time in this realm, right?
yeah.
Low vibrations, a lot of bad stuff going on, the wrong people in charge, and that's it, right? They're in charge because they're charged by the negative energy. And that's why they're the ones that are in charge. And so when this switches over, which I believe it's coming soon, is those people will no longer have any power, right? Because they won't be in charge with the negative charge. They'll lose their power, like literally. And that the good positive charge people will then become the ones that are in power and in charge. And so we'll see just a whole complete flip of where we are. And I think that's what's going on at the moment. And, I think we can see it, literally with the plasma. I think that's the energy building, right?
Right. Crow 777 radio. He's talking about, um, he's been filming the sun, and he thinks that we're going to start to be able to see the source sun in the sky, or that he calls the second sun. And and there's so many things that are foreshadowing this, the scene in Star Wars and the MasterCard logo, and all this
Yeah.
stuff, and that this is directly tied to human consciousness, right? The and so this energy is coming. Do you think that this shift is maybe what they refer to as the pole shift? They say there's been pole shifts every 17,000
Yeah.
years or whatever the number is. This is the polarity
Yeah.
shift in the
Exactly. It's
realm.
not a pole like the
Yeah,
North Pole. It's the positive negative poles
yeah.
are like on a magnet. Yeah, yeah, completely. That's what I think.
Oh,
Yeah, that's interesting, and a different sun, right? Well, like we've all seen the sun, right? Like, you've had a few years under your belt, like me, and I'm sure
yeah.
when you were growing up, the sun was probably a different color, right? Maybe orange or
Absolutely.
yellow,
Yellow for sure.
right?
Yeah.
Yellow, right?
When you say
Now it's
you think this is
white.
going to happen soon, do you think maybe it'll happen by the end of this week, before Friday? That would be really nice.
I'm hoping, man. I'm gonna go meditate after this and I'm on it. I mean, I think it's gonna shift.
I
I
think
mean,
it's
I think
already
it could be
happening.
within. I think, yeah, we're into it.
Yeah.
And the actual event could be, yeah, like probably could be as short as a year or so away, right? It could be
I
5 years.
I
I don't
think it's
know.
happened. Like if it happened in a year, that's instantaneous. But for us, it's a year. It's a
Yeah.
you gotta look at. I see the shift happening, and I see the evil ones are scrambling so hard, which is actually just giving us more fuel to do all of the positive things. You saw it.
Yeah, yeah. And
Spacebusters put out a video yesterday. Actually, premiered on my channel yesterday, where we looked at the Antarctic bases where they say they are. They work perfectly on the Gleason's map. They do not work on the globe at all. Like all of these bases, we take the exact latitudes and we use the Gleason's map, and right where they put them, there's a little jut, a little out, a little bump on the map. It 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 was amazing. I have to
right.
make a graphic of it. Um, yeah. So
Yeah, well, that's the trap, right? So I mean, I don't know if outer lands are part of this awakening, if we've been closed off, right? While we're having our little bad, dark patch. But I think, big things are happening right now, like you said, right? Like, I mean, and this is the thing, like with the whole, Jabberwocky from 2020, I mean,
Yeah.
I think that was a good thing, right? Because, look
Yeah.
at the world, right? Would you go back to 2019?
Hell no. Hell no.
No,
Um,
no way, right?
so just looking at the bases when they look at the longitudes and latitudes, like there'll be a base and it'll be like out here, and then right there, there's a little bump where the base is, right? And
Oh,
all of the
okay.
places that would have put them in the water, zoom in a little bit, like there's one out here, and boom, there's a little bump there, and there's one right here on this little tip, and it's right there. And so you got to watch the video. It's on my the Flat Earth Clock App channel. It's called Scamartica 2.
I think that actually popped up on my YouTube today. Yeah, I haven't
Yeah,
watched
it's
it yet though.
real. It's
Yeah.
like 25 minutes, but the last 5 or 10 minutes is a game changer. I
Right.
wasn't moving the map while I was pointing at those things. Sorry. I was
No, no,
moving
that's all
the map around. So like there's a little one here, there's a little one right there, but they all fall on where he's got these little juts, these outward bumps. So it brought another proof that this map is really accurate.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, I mean, that was a standard map, right, for a long time.
Long time, yeah.
I mean, all you need to do really is go onto Google Earth, right, and look at Antarctica, and you'll see that what they've done is cut that big circle and made it into a dot because you can literally see on Google Earth all the lines going into it. It's
Yeah.
hilarious.
They just did that. And we're not allowed to go explore this white area, right?
Yeah. I mean, and what better way to hide, extra land, say, than to make people believe it doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
It's not even there.
So, going back to that map that was found in the Buddhist temple that I showed earlier with all the lands out there. What if that
Yeah.
was it? And what if, with all of those islands, all of those continents, we're called that Antarctica, they squished them all together on the bottom, and where I showed you those bases were, that's it. I mean, how would we know?
So yeah, right. So they're on different continents. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
Well,
this is just all those continents squished together,
yeah, yeah. That's
wrapped
an
around.
interesting one. Well, this is the thing, we just don't know. And, there's actually a lot of stuff. I mean, obviously, a lot of it's not true, but there is a lot of ice wall videos now going around on TikTok and stuff. And
There are. I believe there is an ice wall on some of these continents. Let's say this continent is higher than all of these continents, and when you get there, there's ice. Well, how long is this? What's this? A couple thousand miles? You know?
yeah,
And what if there's an ice wall here? And what if these continents are just higher, and when you get there, there's a cliff shoreline. That's the ice wall. It doesn't mean it goes all the way around. Oh, I'm not. You got to tell me
yeah,
when
yeah. I see
transition.
what you mean. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm talking here. This could be the ice wall. Okay.
Yeah.
This could be
Like
this could be an
like
ice wall
Game of
here.
Thrones almost.
Well,
So you get to
Game
the
of
end of
Thrones
your
wants
land, a
you
big,
to
big ice
believe,
wall, right?
yeah. But let's just say this continent is twice the height of any of these other continents. Okay. The average height. So when you get there,
Yeah.
there's no beach. There's just a cliff. You got to get up on top of the cliff, and it's
Yeah.
frozen, or it appears to be frozen. Um, and and that would be your ice wall. This is thousands of miles. This is thousands of miles. How would you know? And then you could fly along it. You can video it and video it and video it. And they're like, oh yeah, it goes all the way around. Okay, I assumed that the ice wall goes all the way around. But what if this is our world? What
What
if
if it
the
doesn't?
dome comes down here? This is the end of the tent. God spread out the heavens like a tent.
Like a tent. Yeah, yeah. And the
Yeah,
four pillars, right? Which
yeah,
denotes more of a square. Yeah.
maybe. I mean, and again, I'm not saying I'm just saying biblical earthers like really want to limit what they think, what all that means, but we don't know. Maybe it's just like the little snow globe that they tell us about.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like this. Maybe it's even bigger. Maybe there's other suns out
Yeah.
there. I don't know.
Maybe it's Nos Confundus. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure there's a verse from the Bible though, and I can't quote it, so everyone's going to go mad in the comments, but I'm sure that there's a passage where the devil takes Jesus up to the top of a mountain or the top of the world to see all the world, and he says he sees frozen lands or something. Like he basically sees, it sounds like he's seeing more than just the realm that we know about, right? So it might be in there. Let me know, Christians, Bible readers.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, this is the thing. Like, what? Why would you limit God's creation? Right? Why would He limit creation? Like, I mean, because the whole galaxy thing, right? I kind of tend to think that that's probably the realm, right? That's probably an old term for our realm plus all the other lands, the other known lands, right? That's the galaxy because there's a short. It's a guy from Space Force, Trump Space Force, and he's doing this talk, and he's like almost word for word. He's like, just imagine space is the ocean, and out in that ocean, there's a continent, and it's called the moon. That's where we're going. Like I've got on, like it's crazy. Like he's literally saying that space is the ocean, and
Well,
there's other lands out there, right? Like
yeah, the outer space. That's what I always talk
the
about.
outer
I
space,
just, I
yeah, where
just,
the extraterrestrial is.
I just found this is I was looking into penguins, and penguins exist over here and over here and over here. And on a globe, they say it's next to Antarctica. They exist in Antarctica, but they also go to these three closest spots.
Yeah, right.
And on a
It's
flat
not that
Earth,
close.
it's because they're close. It's as
Yeah, yeah,
close to the outer wall.
yeah, yeah. We've got penguins in Australia. Yeah, yeah. That's interesting.
Right.
Like what I think it was Africa was way up off the ice wall.
Yeah. Um,
It's
I came across this. This was in a video. I took this clip out of a video. So, we look at the star Sirius and we look at the star Orion, then we take our super zoom and we can zoom in and make it bigger, right? So when you can zoom in on something, you're taking out a percentage of its distance. You're increasing its angular size. So this is
yes.
zoom on a P1000 and this is full zoom. They're almost the same size. Orion's a little smaller. Okay. Right. Sirius is 8.6 light years away if you're a heliocentrist, 50 trillion miles. Okay. 50 trillion miles. And I'm able to zoom in and make it bigger in my lens on 50 trillion miles. Right. Nikon's amazing.
Good
But here's the
point.
catcher. Orion is 52 million times farther than 50 trillion miles. So you have to take 50 trillion, multiply it by 52
52.
million. And I'm able to zoom in and make it almost the same size. That would mean that Orion would need to be 52 million times bigger than Sirius to look the same size at that focal length.
Yep.
There's one problem with this analogy. You get it, I get it. Almost every flat earther would get it. Normal people that haven't looked, they can't understand. Their brains have short circuited. They weren't taught to think. They weren't taught to,
Yeah.
like, literally, I'd have to repeat this like
Hmm.
5 times for someone to get it. They're like, oh yeah, but then they're like, well, there must be another
Yeah.
excuse. Yeah,
Taught what to think and not how to think,
yeah.
right?
Just game over. Hello, welcome to Flat Earth.
It's
Welcome.
of course, yeah, like it's completely impossible, right? And I mean, then you put in if it's 52 trillion million, I mean, that's not even the right number, right? More than that away. How do we even see the light? Like,
That's wait, the inverse square law of light. Every time you double the
exactly.
distance, it gets half or a quarter.
It's
Let's just say
half.
half. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Um,
Mm.
it's it's so stupid. It's so stupid. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
I,
yeah. But
good.
you can zoom in on the sun, right? Like, and it's that close, but like to be able to zoom in on something that far and almost bring it into the same size and the same, you know, view of it, it's silly. I mean, there's cymatic patterns as far as I mean, you can pretty much see it in there in Sirius, right? I think it's like the star in the jar, where they have you seen that? The star
Yeah,
in
of
the
course, of
jar?
course, of course.
Yeah, well, there you go, stars. Yeah, yeah. I think, and I think that's. it's interesting that we call these star forts because I mean, I guess they look like stars, right? But what's their real connection to stars? I mean, they both look like cymatic
Yeah.
shapes, don't they?
Movie star, gangster. There's so many Star Wars. Santos Bonacci does a great breakdown on that. It's pretty amazing. But
Stars, yeah.
you know what this is? It's a
It's
star, but do you know
a
what it
star.
is? Do you know actually what stars are? Because I don't.
Well, no, it looks like some kind of energy frequency in water to me.
I think it looks like consciousness to me. It's some sort of consciousness, right? And think about this. What is consciousness, right? What is air? When you hold your breath, if someone stopped you from breathing, your brain will still be working, your heart will still be pumping, but you lose consciousness, right? And then air,
Yeah,
yeah. And think about this: water, a one drop of water holds terabytes of information. So water holds
yes,
information. And then water and
totally.
air are the yin and yang of each other. You can make water from air and air from water, right? So maybe
Yeah,
air
yeah,
and water are are the are are what we call God. Maybe air and water
yeah,
are God. How
I've
we
totally.
perceive God, right? Because nowhere in the Bible
Yes,
does it say God created water. He created everything else,
yeah,
but
yeah.
just the water
He
to be
was.
there.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Water's in everything. Water, everything that's living,
Right,
that we see as living needs water. And what, like I said, water carries all the information, right? It
right.
it could be the Akashic records as well. And air is just really like thinner water, isn't it? It's kind of the same, you
Yeah.
know, thing, but we just breathe it. It's
Oh,
yeah, I mean, I think I think that's totally plausible. And then the Great Flood, right? Like that's an influx if you think of water as an information carrier. That's an influx of information, right? Was that how the original reset was done? Is that how they took down such a grand, civilization as, the old world or Tartaria that seemed to be going really well, all free energy, everyone being nice, no evidence of armies and all this stuff. How do you take a civilization like that down? Like, did they literally, whoever they are, dump water down here and that just reprogrammed the realm?
yeah, 100%. The whole mud flood, um, it's not a theory. There was a mud flood. The theory is, when did it happen? Why did it happen? Was it natural? Was it God? Was it man? That's what we can talk about all day, but there's no question there was a mud flood. I mean, if
Uh,
you deny that, I don't know how you can deny that.
well,
You can
it
deny
just
that
means
it was
you've not
worldwide at
looked
the same
into it.
time,
Mm.
um, and the good, good.
No, I was going to say that the pictures from Russia,
Yeah,
like I mean, we came across them years ago. We were sort of looking at the windows, and then we literally came across these pictures where they're excavated and under the ground, you've got houses and shop fronts with glass windows and doors, like under the road.
yeah.
So at that point, you can't deny that there's been some kind of mud flood, right?
Absolutely. The digging out, the pictures of digging out cities where there's just huge mud and they're just digging. And then, in America here, and I mean, in old movies, all the old movies, they're working on the railroad. It's always about the railroad, railroad, railroad. But when you look at any old pictures and videos, they had pickaxes and shovels. They didn't have
Yeah.
hammers.
That's a good point. I was going to say they didn't have all their stock of railway tracks and sleepers and,
Yeah.
all this stuff. But yeah, they were literally digging them out
And the railroad ties are buried to the tops, right? If you're
yeah,
building a railroad, you're not countersinking them, you're laying them down.
on the top. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They're all, yeah, yeah, yeah. There's some crazy photos of that too, like underneath roads, finding them and trams as well. Trams used to be everywhere. Well, I think you call them trolleys. Is that right?
Trams, trolleys,
Um,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But like there's a city in the middle of the Amazon jungle, this tiny, remote town, and it's got a fully operating electric tram system in it.
Amazing. I think is this New York? Is this New York? You probably know. I think it's New
Looks
York.
like.
Yeah.
Looks like New York.
And these people with this is their truck right here. They built this. Okay. They didn't have power tools, right? No
Yeah,
problem.
yeah,
These people built this, right? And they probably did
totally.
it in a year. They probably did it in a year.
Yeah. I mean, look at all the tradesmen walking around, all the workers. There's
Yeah.
it's not like they're all dressed like office workers who don't know how to, hold a hammer or anything, is it? You know, like you never see
It-
anybody in workers' clothes unless it's kids, right?
yeah.
In the factories. It's crazy.
And this picture of the Lincoln Memorial,
That's a good one.
there's some other pictures, some close-ups. This thing, it looks like they're moving this or something, or maybe just digging it out. I'm not sure, but you know, I don't know. It's
I
pictures.
think that when you're building a building that size,
Yeah.
the last thing you should put in is a good road to get all the materials there.
The last thing. Well,
The last thing.
yeah, the horse and buggies with their wooden wheels, they don't need roads. They're
Oh,
fine.
yeah,
They're fine.
man. No, they love the mud, man.
Yeah,
There we go through it. Yeah.
they love it.
It's it's just there's so much evidence of it. It's crazy. I mean, I think the biggest thing with Tartaria that people don't like is history. A lot of people have got these family attachments to it and this emotional attachment, right? Like my grandfather, built the railways, or my great grandfather built his own house in 3 years, or they did this and that. But as we know, we can't really prove anything past, definitely I'd say our great grandparents, but probably even our grandparents. Most people don't even know their great grandparents apart from stories, right? That were passed
Yeah,
down. So it's but people have that emotional attachment, which I understand. I mean, I don't, because I was a convict. I don't have anything grand in my past. I was just, you know, my ancestors were convicts,
yeah,
man.
yeah. They were
Sent out
convicts,
here stealing bread.
deported there, just
Deported.
thrown in the
Yeah.
jungle, and
Yeah.
they built some
Apparently.
great buildings.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, that they became master builders on the way over. So that's good.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, hey, since we're here, so if you look at the stuff that they're finding now buried, the incredible buildings, the pyramids, Bosnia, China, Alaska, I mean, under the sea. It looks like this world had and we should talk about the Giza development with
Yeah.
what they found under Giza, which is just incomprehensible to most people that haven't opened up their mind to what this realm is. It seems to me like all of that was part of a living, working system to amplify the Schumann resonance, if you will, or whatever, the
Hmm.
the energy that makes us thrive. And
Yeah.
it was all destroyed. Why? Who? Was it the Nephilim? Was it the giants? Was it God? Was it the flood? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But my question is, who built it? And here's my theory, right? This is out there. Okay. When God created the earth, he didn't just throw Adam and Eve down there and go, here's a fig leaf. Hope you discover fire one day and computer chips. He laid down some infrastructure. And he
Yeah.
used a lot of bricks too.
Yes. The
Okay.
bricks.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so he
Um,
built this living infrastructure, right? Or him, angels, but it wasn't, I don't think it was done with horses and buggies and mixing up of some cement and slapping down some bricks. I think this was created. This is just me theorizing on, if I was God and I'm going to create this realm for these humans to have this soul system, for souls to have this experience, I'm going to lay down some cool shit.
hmm. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think we started as, frogs and crawling to land and had sex with a chipmunk and ended up being humans. I mean, that's a
Wait
silly
a minute,
story,
they
but
teach that in school.
uh,
You think that school's wrong?
exactly right. That's what they teach you. I think I think that's plausible. I mean, because there's just so many unanswered questions, and I mean, the bricks is probably the biggest one as far as where did they all come from. But bigger than that is every single one of them's been laid in a better mortar. Like it's not that there's so many bricks; they've all been laid and turned into buildings. I mean, that on its own, like would like it would, like we've got, like there's a star fort off the coast of Florida, 16 million bricks in it. Like and that's a small one, right? I've been to bigger star forts than that. Like there's trillions of bricks.
Yeah.
Like where did they come from and who was laying them all? So, I've thought, was it some kind of printing, 3D printing, or done by machines, but it could be part of the creation, right? I mean,
It would make
you know,
sense. It would make sense. It's a theory for sure.
if we're deciding to come down here and we've basically built this realm, right, or created it, or helped create it, that's because God's everything, right? Could be water. We're full of water. He's in us. Then we're not going to just like create a jungle and go down there and start hunting around for bits of stick and to try and make a hut. We're going to build a world that we can inhabit and have experiences in that aren't running away from bears and freezing to death because we don't have a house. Because we're not like animals, right? We don't have fur. We don't have defense, claws and fangs. Like we're pretty, meek animals, really. Like to throw us out in the jungle, like that's pretty mean.
Yeah. It's interesting. And this topic, I think, has brought this. When I say this topic, truth. When you find truth, the truth will set you free. I think it lifts your spirit, right? Your spirit, your mind starts listening to your spirit more, and that's how you have more joy in your life. I'll tell you a quick little story. I was out to dinner with a friend and her 6-year-old daughter, and so we're all hanging out, and the daughter, she's very squirmy, just a 6-year-old, just all over the place, can't sit still in her seat and everything, and conversations all over the place. And she asked me something about my job, and I said, "Well, I teach people about the earth." And she got very still. She goes, "Well, what do you mean?" And I started telling her. I said, "Well, yeah, 6-year-old,
The 6-year-old.
6-year-old, yeah." And I started saying, "Well, some people think that the earth is a globe." She goes, "Well, yes, it is a globe." And I was like, "Well," I said, "a globe has to spin, it has to do this, it has to do that." And I pulled out the app and I started pulling up some pictures, and she's just asking the greatest question. She goes, "Yeah, that makes sense. It doesn't feel like I'm moving." And I was like, "Well, they'll tell you that it's because you can't tell that you're moving." I go, "But if you're in a car and the car is turning," she goes, "Yeah, I get pushed to the right, you know?" And so she literally became super inquisitive, super focused, sitting up straight in her chair, asking high level, better questions than friggin' globetards ask. Okay. And at her house, her the mother's ex-husband had bought, who was a friend of mine, who had bought this globe, this glass, beautiful globe. He spent like $5,000 or $10,000 on it. So in there, there's a main piece in their living room. They've got this globe. She goes, "So that globe at my house is fake?" I was like, "Well, a lot of people think it is." And she's like, "Wow." And she was just, dude, the energy, the light, the excitement. She goes, "I want to learn more. Can you teach me more?" And I said, "Well," I said, "you have to learn both models, and then you can figure out which one you think is true, right?" Now I'm going to be called a child abuser because of this, but no, not. But the point of the story is she became focused. She became asking intelligent questions, and I could literally feel and see her spirit lift, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's amazing. So, you have a kid and, you send them to school and they're sensing the world and using their God-given senses. And they say, "Okay, the earth is a globe." What? "Oh, trust me. Trust me. I'm the teacher." It says it in the
Yeah.
book. Earth is a globe. You are literally tearing down all of that kid's ability to discern reality. And once you got them believing in the globe, you can get them to believe in everything else.
Yeah, yeah. It's because you can't make a decision with only one point of view, right?
Yeah.
You're being told something. So that's it. We always need more than one point of view to be able to actually use our brains and think and decide for ourselves. Otherwise, it's just programming, man.
Have you heard that Salt Lake City is the New Jerusalem or something like that? Somebody was telling me that Salt Lake
No.
City is where it all happened, where it's all happening. I think that this is Salt Lake City,
Okay.
right? This is the temple in Salt Lake City that was built
Yeah.
before they had any lime plants and everything. They just built it with their horses and buggies when the Mormons showed up. They built this.
Yeah, yeah, with all the supplies they brought along with them, and then
Yeah,
they found I think there's at least 4 stories that are underground
yeah.
that they've uncovered, and they've blocked all that off. And there's even that like someone went through the journals of one of the first Mormons, and he was literally writing letters out to his to the other Mormons saying, "Come here, come and live here. There's houses everywhere." Like he's saying there's houses and they're empty and there's enough to house 100 families. Come here, come and live here. Yeah,
Wow. That. I like that. That's awesome.
yeah. So it was there, man. It wasn't founded, it was found.
It was found, right? It wasn't builded, it was founded.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. So, and I mean, look at that thing.
Yeah. Eh,
You know, look at these. You
Who
know,
they're all over the world. And you notice that all of the colleges, all of the Capitol buildings, town halls, they all are the same worldwide. There's so many
yes.
of them, and so they literally took over these buildings. Like I was looking at someone was going through
Mm,
Harvard. I think I forget the name of the channel, but it was going over the buildings at Harvard University. They're all old world buildings,
yeah,
slowly being
yeah.
stripped down.
Well, have you heard of those Masons that are free?
Yeah.
They wear the funny skirts. Yeah, well, this is what they did, right? They went around the world and they found free masonry, free
Ah,
buildings.
that that's I'd never put that together. Good one.
Yeah. And that's why, because they're all the government buildings, right? They're all the control system buildings, the government, the taxes, the libraries, right? Half that word's lie. The universities and education systems. That's all these old world buildings.
Yeah. Who built this building? Who built this? Is it these people? Is it these guys right here? They
No, I mean they're gnomes, aren't they? They look a bit small.
yeah, did they build that? I don't know. That's
No, I mean, and we're looking at different times. I think we can see cycles, right? Like we've got, there's the giant trees, right? Giant tree stumps and the titans in mountains. Then it goes down. We've got all these megalithic blocks, all through Russia and the Ural Mountains, these massive megalithic structures. Then we got the star forts, which are a bit, iteration down, and then we get the red bricks come in, and they're sort of built on top of the star forts and everything. So it looks like we've got these differing timelines, and it looks like the people were getting smaller. I mean, does that mean now that we're at the bottom, we're going to start getting bigger as
are
the
you saying
positive charge comes in?
you think there was giant beings on this earth?
Wow, man, I know. Like it's
What are you
like
saying?
it makes you think twice before you buy like pink Himalayan salt, right?
You know,
Like
yeah, it certainly does.
it's
And
yeah,
you know what I take is shilajit. You know what shilajit is, right?
yeah. Don't tell me. Is it? I'm taking it. Is it? Is it
It's really
good?
good for you. It has all the
I know.
minerals because it's Titan blood coming out of the
Oh,
rocks.
blood, you're
It's the
entitled.
blood of Titans being oozed out of the rocks from inside the rocks.
Wow. All right. Well, it'll make me big and strong then, at
It will
least.
make you big and strong like a Titan.
Like a Titan.
That's my
Yeah.
opinion. I don't have any proof of that, but there's a lot of people that agree with that thought. Uh,
Well, there's a lot of stuff, right? There's, the elephant. Is it called El Elephant or something in Spain? It's a big mountain. And
oh yeah, the
Stellium 7, like was showing the ear hole in it and everything. And, there's a
ear
lot of
hole, the eye hole,
uh,
everything. There's just too much. There's too much.
just,
I met him at the Denver conference, and he's like, "Here, you got to watch this." And I didn't watch it for a couple of weeks, and finally I watched it. I'm like, that's a little step too far. And then he sends me another one. I'm like, all right, let me watch this. I'll watch it because I met the guy, and I'm watching. I'm like, damn. Then I watched the third one. Right? I'm like, don't want to go down this rabbit hole. Then I watched the fourth one, and I'm like, right? And
yeah,
I'm like, okay, all right, you got me. I'm in.
yeah, man. It's,
It,
yeah. And it's like that, isn't it? You sort of start off and he sort of starts back and he gets more, in depth with what he's showing with each video. And yeah, by the sort of third one, you're like, oh my God. He's showing like ear tracks and, where veins going. You're like, oh.
On the Tataria page, I think I have stellium 7 on here. Is it on here? Oh, yeah, biogeology, stellium 7 right here. And so, for anyone that doesn't know what we're talking about, just go watch his videos. Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Are the hills alive? It's an interesting one. We just don't know what this realm is. And I mean, if this is a thing about if there were beings that big that are now, you know, in mountains, right? Like giant, Titanic, that's kind of, you would think there'd have to be more area, right, than just this
Doesn't work on a
place that we're
globe.
living.
Doesn't work on a
Well,
globe.
it
Maybe that's why.
wouldn't,
Maybe that's why I don't want it snowing.
they'd
Uh,
slip off.
yeah. What is your take on first Hangman 1128, right?
Yeah, that's the trees, right?
The trees, yeah. Like he's pointing at the
Man,
trees and he's like the diameter of the trunk of this tree is 80 miles, he said. And I was like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It
I saw one and he was up on this mountain and he's getting this rock and and pulling it out. It just looks like slabs of
would.
cut wood.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, this is just one of the branches. He
Yeah, this
points
is
to
a
this mountain
twig
over
of
there.
the
He's like,
branch. And
yeah,
it's over
that,
there.
that's the trunk. Yeah.
Yeah, they
That's
don't
crazy.
that
Yeah.
information is wild. What's your question, your opinion on a Warrenon, the lost history of flat Earth? So he comes out of nowhere, he makes a 5 hour video and tons of good info in
Wow.
there. And then out of nowhere, he flip flops.
Yes. Wow. Um, he came out with some very well produced, well researched and written videos. No one ever saw his
No
face.
one never saw. We don't even know he's a human, right?
Don't even know who he is. No. And then he flipped because he saw a photo in a cathedral, and he's like, "Oh, that's proof that everything I've just said is wrong."
Yeah.
And he basically went down that path. And I happened to make a video just asking, well, what's he on about? Because it was a big shock when it happened because he had a big following. And I was like, well, what's going on here? And he didn't like that very much. He started making videos about me basically. So,
I
but I mean,
watched.
this is the thing. It looks like a sale, man.
Yeah, well, here's the thing: is his first his 5 hour video still has awesome content in it, but he
It
flipped for
does.
some reason. So I don't even know if it's him. We've never seen his face. It's like when I don't know, who the guy is um Dan. Well, I'm just spacing on his name. Um, something Dan 225. The hell's his name? There's a flat earther, a biblical flat earther. He was awesome. And he actually did an interview where he said, if you ever see me saying that the earth is a ball, know that I'm being tortured. And then one day he flipped. Nobody knows who he is or where he lived. And he was single guy. And so he literally started making anti-biblical flat earth stuff. And it was horrible. It was horrible. You could just hear his voice. You never saw his face. And Tiger Dan was his name.
Oh, yes, I have heard of
Yeah.
Tiger Dan.
Yeah, on the app, just search Tiger Dan, and you'll find the video where he says, if I ever flip, I'm being tortured. I don't know what's going on with people like him, like Ornan or Jaron. I don't know what's going on with these guys, but they all have a very um
Yeah.
similar
It's a very
thing.
similar story. It's basically come out hardcore, build up an audience, and then either slowly start to, but they don't even do it slow, do they? They just flip.
Yeah.
Um, it's crazy. I mean, obviously, Jaron, you've met Jaron, I'm assuming,
Yep.
so he's obviously a real person, but some of the other channels we don't even know. We're now starting to see what AI is capable of, right?
Sure.
Like like some of these channels could have been, like totally AI, and I find it interesting that all this stuff is happening now to do with the flat Earth, right? And the whole final experiment thing. Just as they're starting to, get all these government officials to tell us that UFOs are real and they've got all this stuff they're going to release, and we can kind of feel Project Bluebeam ramping up, and there's all drones in the sky. I mean, that all relies on a globe. So it's
Yeah.
just interesting timing, isn't it?
Just last thing on Ewarnon is what was I going to say about him? It is, oh yeah, his flipping. I watched a couple of his videos. They're weak arguments. Like that doesn't make any sense. He had maybe one or two points, like, hey, this picture could be okay, all right, but his arguments were super weak. So
Mm.
that's why I still
Yeah,
have his good content is on there, and I tell people don't believe anything anybody says. Just go verify the stuff yourself the best you can.
just information.
Yeah,
Like don't as soon as you judge information as right or wrong, good or bad, then you can't learn anything else on that topic, right? So, if you are on, flips and you're like, oh my God, it's all bad, it's all crap, well, then you lose all the good stuff that was there, right?
right.
And I think
Like,
it's all the 80-20 rule, right? Even if it's
yep.
80% lies, there's still 20% of truth in there.
Or
If it's 20%
80%
truth,
truth, 20% lies. I mean, there's so much truth coming out
exactly.
now, you can't keep up with it. It's unreal. I get so many
Mm.
videos sent at me, like, Dave, you got to watch this. This is awesome. I just can't watch them all. There's too many. And there's so many good ones. There's a new channel that just came out. I'm actually premiering. He did a whole series on flat Earth. It's awesome. But he did it's called his channel is called A Different View or something like that. Hold on. Oh, of course, the server is they're doing server maintenance. There's a 4 hour window that they're doing server maintenance, and it appears to be right now. So I can't show you. There's a 4 hour window, and it's today. There's like only 20 minutes. It'll come back. Um,
Yeah, right.
but it's Our History A Different View. Have you seen that video?
No.
It's in the Tataria section on the app, Our History A Different View. He's put out a couple great, just two great videos on that, and then he just came out with a one really long one about flat Earth, and he broke it down into 8 chapters. But it's like he wore on quality as far as content,
Nice.
and you'll love it. And it's probably won't
Cool.
teach you anything you don't know already know, but it's really well put, and it's a good one to
Yeah.
give people. Like, oh, send me a video. It's a great one to have on the list.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, which is what we need, right?
Yeah,
Like good, factual, well-made videos, which I try and do, and I think about every 10th or 12th is,
yeah.
it's almost a good video.
Yeah. You take make a playlist of your best videos, and then when someone says, hey, what do you got? Give them you start the playlist, and then you copy the URL and give them that URL. That way they'll watch the video. And if they're not quick to click away at the end, the second video will play. So
Yeah,
always
automatically.
send somebody a video in a
To
playlist
a
where it'll make
playlist.
them watch other videos. Because if you sent them
Good
the right
point.
video, they're gonna not click away and they're gonna watch the next video. They're not gonna click away and they're gonna watch the next video. But if you send them one video, the next video is one that Mark Zuckerberg will suggest. Okay. And
Which would be probably the opposite viewpoint, right? Especially if it's a flat Earth video.
100%, 100%.
Yeah, man. Cool. All right. You got anything else you want to throw at me?
How about anything? You got anything you want to throw at me? Anything you want to, any images you want to share? Or, I mean, I'm no, we can talk for probably 20 hours and not crack the surface, but
Well, this is the thing. Yeah. I mean, I've got, no, it just sort of popped up in front of me. This is kind of interesting.
hold on. I gotta let you share. Give me a second.
This is like a tower from Venice. And do you know about Venice? Like Venice was, it's built on like logs.
Yeah, it's built on logs. And I mean,
It's built
that's the
on,
story. I guess it is. But how did they build it? I don't know.
and like it's got very big buildings, so I don't know how they did it. But this is this is a column, right, from Venice. So it was a tower, and it imploded. Right, they say it imploded. Basically, it was standing, and it just fell down one day, and they got photos of it, Dave, in 1902. They got lots of photos of it.
So people just happen to have all of their iPhones ready and snap photos when it
Yeah,
imploded by
I know,
itself.
right?
That's the official story.
Yeah,
It just imploded.
it just fell over, imploded, and there were clearly, yeah, several iPhones around ready to snap it in free fall. And then when it fell, it became this.
That was right after it fell.
That was right after it
Like,
fell. This
you know what?
perfect.
Maybe an airplane hit it like the Twin Towers, because that
I
happens
know,
when an airplane hits
maybe it
the
was
top of a
building three,
tower.
right?
The top of the tower will fall through the path of most resistance and create dust.
It's 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 crazy, right? So I mean, this stuff's been going on for this 1902, and like look at the background. I mean, look
Wait,
at this
1982, you
Antiquitech.
said?
No, 19002.
1902. Okay.
Yeah, and all this Antiquitech, but yeah, just they just happen to be in a photo that I clicked with. Instead of I got any photos, but I've got a billion photos. Um, and Venice is an interesting one. I was there last year, and like they've got supersized buildings, like supersize. And when you see the size of these things and the details, and then they tell you, oh no, we just brought a million logs, threw them in the ocean,
Yeah.
and then built all this stuff on top of it. And then they say that, the canals was the ocean, right? That was left. But we've all heard of them draining canals in Venice. How do you drain the canal if it's the ocean?
Yeah. So I saw that. I didn't look into it. I saw a video on the making of Venice. I'm like, that seems insane. That just it seems insane.
It's
It,
like
it,
it's
it,
like they make
I
up
haven't really
some
thought about it.
stories and they're like, let's just make a stupid one up and see who believes it. Oh yeah, let's say that we built it on logs. It's just dumb. It just doesn't make any sense. And yeah, they can't drive them into the ground. Like there's so many problems. But anyway, this is our history, right? It's just a silly story.
What's your take on the? I know we brought it up before we wind down. The Giza pyramids, the what they found under Giza. What's
Yeah,
your
well,
thought
it's
on it?
it's it's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, obviously, most of us know that Giza's riddled with underground temples and, chambers and tunnels and stuff. Um, do I think it's real? I don't know. I'm not sure. They're saying they're looking 2 miles down.
Something like that, a couple
Um,
kilometers, right?
yeah, it's a lot. And the guys who did it and released it are sort of um UFO researchers, basically. The information came from a UFO conference where they were
I did see
doing it. So
the original paper and stuff. It is very interesting. It seems legit, but of course, who knows?
we just don't know. I mean, I'd love it to be, but it also definitely ties into the whole power grid, right?
Yeah,
And
it
when I
makes a lot of
saw it,
sense.
it does, and I definitely hope it's real that we're seeing something real. And I was thinking, is that we've all heard about these underground civilizations, right? We've all heard about the tunnels, the dams. Is that a power source that they're using to get power under the ground?
Maybe the I was like, I don't know. I'm like, is it real? Is it not real? And then
It's a hard one.
Zaki Hawass, who's the main guy in Egyptology.
Yeah,
Egyptology.
yeah, 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 yeah. Zahi Hawass,
Yeah,
yeah.
and so he came out and said it's complete and total bullshit. I'm like,
Oh, but it's
right.
true.
I'm like, okay. I'm like, I think it's true, right? I think it's true. That
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
start
Okay.
looking in deeper.
I'm leaning towards true myself now
As
as
soon
well.
as he said that, I'm like, okay, okay.
Did you see, Mr. Beast?
I've never, ever, ever seen a single Mr. Beast video. I mean,
Congratulations.
maybe I've seen
Don't change
one.
that.
Maybe I've seen one and didn't know it. But what's the story with him?
He went into the pyramid with his whole crew, and they stayed in there for
When?
like 3 or 4 days, a couple of months back with Zahi Hawass, and they were just running around everywhere they wanted to go. No restrictions,
Okay.
playing their little games. And
Dude,
if you're like a certified Egyptologist with, published works, he won't let you in there.
wow. So either it's a total psyop, yes, or he's just a celebrity hound. Oh my God, it's Mr. Beast. Let me run around with him.
Yeah, yeah. Or, because obviously they were pushing the Hawass story, the mainstream story. It's a tomb and like, we
Uh,
know because right up the top here in this little room, there's like this little squiggle thing, and that's how we know it's a tomb, not
yeah,
the
they're gonna build
big
this
plaque at
huge
the
thing
front.
for a
Yeah,
tomb, and
and
then
sign it in this little corner. Yeah.
yeah, the whole story is ridiculous, and and everyone, I asked I've been asking friends recently, like, where are the biggest pyramids on Earth, and every single person says Giza, right?
No.
And But that's what every normie says. That's what everyone was taught, and they don't know about
Yep.
Bosnia. They don't know about China. They don't know about all these other pyramids, and it's
Yeah, yeah.
amazing.
Bosnia, definitely bigger. I went to one in Serbia. Um, and it's actually like three-sided, and it's like it's been confirmed. It's all completely geometrical and lined up to, the cardinal points and everything. But it looks like it's a terraformed mountain, like they've carved it. So someone has carved it. It's this, and it's a kilometer high. It's massive. And we went there, and like there's all this very strange energy going on there, and people see orbs and stuff all the time. And yeah, it's called Ertan. It's spelled Rtanje pyramid in Serbia. So we don't even know. And in Bosnia, it's not one pyramid. The pyramid of the sun is the main one that we all hear about, but there's five pyramids just in this little valley.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's amazing. Um,
that's crazy.
Going back to the orbs and the UFOs, the drones and orbs, uh, going around. Here's my take on it. So they want to do the fake alien invasion, right? But if they did the fake alien invasion, let's say they did it 2 years ago, and all of a sudden there's a worldwide fake alien invasion, the amount of mayhem and chaos would be insane, right? People, you can't even fathom what would happen. But now they've gotten people to the point where they announce announce the alien invasion. People are like, yeah, of course there's aliens. We've been filming them for months or for years now. They've normalized it so much where they're going to be able to do it. And people are like, oh my God, yes, because it makes it more real. And people are like, yeah, they've been here a long time. Government said there's nothing to worry about. We don't know what they are. We don't know who they are, but there's nothing to worry about. And so all of that is being programmed inside of you. So when they finally do it, you'll just have everyone's attention and they won't freak out.
Yeah, but they'll listen to their new spaceball overlords, right?
Yeah, the news will steer their mind northeast, west, south.
And this is the thing is they don't even need to project it in the sky everywhere. They've just got to put it on social media, man. Everyone's sky is now in front of it's in their hand, in front of their face, right?
Yeah.
Like they'll see it on social media and it's real, especially if it's on the news. Right? Oh, I was on the news. Oh, we're being invaded. Oh, what a cool machine. About time, guys.
Yeah.
Where's my med bed?
And those were the pre-scouts that were already here, the orbs and everything, and they're obviously they're friendly because they would have attacked us already if they weren't. And like
Yep.
I could hear them. Here's how far the truth movement has gone. Before we were crazy because we said there might be extraterrestrials. Now
Yeah.
we're crazy because we're telling you they're not coming from outer space. And we're telling you
they're
that
not
they're fake.
gonna.
Yeah. We're the crazy ones because the normies are like,
Yeah,
of course they're here, right? It's
I
completely
know.
flipped. It's
I've
completely,
actually said that to people. I'm like, don't think I'm weird, but if there happens to be an alien invasion, it's probably not real.
yeah.
Like,
And
because
and we're crazy for saying that.
we're crazy for saying that, right? They've been
Yeah.
here for 70 years. They're still hiding. They're still crashing their sources, all this stuff. I mean, and then there's the USO as well. There's all this talk about, unidentified submerged objects, right? And they've just said that they found a mothership submerged off the coast of Florida. I saw earlier today.
Really?
And yeah, it was on TikTok, so it's got to be true, right?
Right.
Um,
Well,
but
don't
yeah,
listen, don't
this is
not
what they need to do is make
yeah.
it go viral. Like, look at the Egypt thing.
Yeah.
How fast, like everyone now knows about that. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
interesting. It's I'm not hanging my hat on it, but it certainly does make a lot of sense. And there's more and more evidence. I think that there's so many truths coming out right now, and all they got to do is just mix a little bit of lies. Let's say you're making a wonderful vegetable soup, right? You got all of the carrots and potatoes and mushrooms and onions, and then somebody throws one turd in there. The whole soup gets ruined. Okay.
yeah,
So just
yeah,
don't take the turds out and focus on the good stuff. And we're gonna I think that consciousness is rising, and that's what they're afraid of. So
Oh,
they're trying to
totally.
stop that for sure.
I totally agree. And that's why we're in the apocalypse, right? Like, it's not like all this stuff we're seeing, all this government fraud and all this stuff that's being exposed. It's not like it wasn't there before. We're just seeing it now, right? The veil is being lifted. And so we're seeing it more. And that's also the change in the energy, right? From negative to positive. They can't hide because they're no longer in power. That's why everything they try doesn't work. Like all the things that these governments and things that like nothing's working for them. They just get, more and more exposed every time. So yeah, I think one of the big things is get your attention back, right? And I think, that's one of the biggest commodities, right? Is your attention. I mean, clearly, because look how much effort they put into getting it.
Right.
So,
And
mm,
when people engage with these negative entities that are out there, we're just giving them more energy. Even if we tell them to go F off, we're giving them more energy. And so we
mm,
just need to, energy flows where attention goes, energy flows where attention goes. Right.
yeah,
And so
totally.
they don't want you to believe that that's all BS, but it's provably true in everyone's lives. Look at your life. It's your fault. Okay.
Yeah.
It literally is your fault. Right. And
It,
don't beat yourself up because once you realize it, then you can change it.
yes. And
Yeah.
you're all powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
And,
the whole
and,
blame game that keeps us down. It's the government's fault. It's the tax people's fault. Oh,
and hiding flat earth, hiding Tataria, um, keeps you in a state of fear and keeps you in a state of not knowing of your true origins, where you are, what you are, the power that you have. And so when you live in that state of unknowing, you live in a weakened position, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
I think it kind of like it kind of fractures your mind a bit, right? Because, with the earth, like your senses are telling you one thing, but your brain's fighting that, saying, no, it's not that. Of
an
course,
inner
water curves
struggle.
at my
It's an
spinning
inner
round. Yeah,
struggle.
it's a struggle. Yeah, yeah. And with the buildings, like you don't think, how do we build that? It's like, well, we definitely built that, but it doesn't make any sense. I don't know why it's built for 20-foot people and where did all the bricks come from? Because so yeah, you've got this internal struggle with
Yeah.
the polarities, right? The division.
Anybody does I mentioned the Yankee Stadium one? Easiest way to find it is just click the search button and just type in Yankee Stadium. If you want a good laugh, it's a great 10 or 15-minute video of this guy talking with AI. It is so good. I've been wanting to do some videos like that because the conversations you could have when you make them lay out all the logistics, it's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is the thing, right? AI can be used for good, not evil too, I think.
Well, you know what
Yeah.
people say, like you said, where everyone's staring at their phones, right? And it is a curse, but it's also a blessing. Look at you and I. You're in Australia. I'm in Connecticut. We're having this conversation. We're teaching other people. I'm using their phones as a tool, which they're doing everything they can to stop me, right? And it's not.
Yep.
It's literally energizing the system more. And I love your pole
Yeah.
flipping, the energy flipping, and the positive entities are going to be in power.
Yeah, man. Positive vibe. That's what's coming back. And I think as it changes, we're gonna get more powerful. I think our, manifestation skills, if that's what you want to call it, are going to be more powerful. Like we're going to start creating things faster. So it's time to really get focused on what we want, right? And what we want to build.
Think about this. So when manifestation becomes, when the veil is thin and manifestation comes faster, you need to really have control over your thoughts, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Because a lot
exactly
of
right.
people have a lot of bad thoughts. So manifestation skills, abilities increasing could be very bad for some people, right? It could be
Yeah,
very bad because you're going to think bad things and they're going to come into your life immediately, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
if you don't believe that, just wait and see. Just
yeah,
wait.
yeah.
You don't even have to wait. It's happening now. It's happening now.
Yeah, we're all manifesting all the time. It's just that
Yeah.
a lot of people are manifesting what they don't want.
I have
That's what
so
we're
many
all doing.
manifestation stories where you just think about something and then it crazily happens. It's amazing. All the time. Happens all the time.
Me too, man. Me
Yeah.
too. When you sort of let go and, take your life in your hands, we're both lucky that we We don't have 9 to 5s. We don't have bosses telling us what to do when we go to the toilet or anything like that. We've, pretty much got a lot of freedom with our lives and our time. So it's, I think that's an empowering thing too. And, so, if you're in a 9 to 5 out there and there's something else you'd want to do, then I'd say this is a year to start doing things because we need things. We need new, like the whole old system's collapsing, man. Like we need new entertainment. We need new music, bands and music industries. We
I
need new everything, medicine, like you name it.
I used to just movies. I watch a movie every single night, every night. Movie entertain my mind, right? Now if I ever watch a real movie, it's just literally for to break it down, to analyze it.
What
But
are the hidden
but
messages?
but entertainment, I can't, I don't even have to stick my head out the window to be entertained. There's so much entertainment. There's so much amazing information. This world is such an incredible place. Never bored. Um, I never sleep. Right, sleeping's for normies. uh, Even in my sleep, I'm thinking of things. Things are coming up. I'm like, oh my god, I gotta do that. Um, but this world is an amazing place, and if everybody lifts up their vibration, focuses on good things, helps the person next to them, we'll take over in no time.
Totally, man. That's the other thing about the positive charges. We're moving from service to self to service to others. So,
Right, nice.
it's time that we're going to start putting it out into the world and, becoming the one world that everyone keeps talking about, right? Not the one world government, but, like we're going to become one like community that exists to help each other,
I
right?
I think the world is going to split into two paths because of free will.
Well, this is,
So here's
yeah,
here what I'm saying
yeah.
is a lot of the normies are going to go into their 15-minute cities and have their life the way it is, and that's going to be their life. And then there's us that kind of go our own way, and we refuse to go into that system. So there'll be two worlds. It's kind of like Logan's Run. We're the outsiders, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
here's my request. I'm going to definitely be on the outsiders. We're gonna start our own new world, and that could be a majority of the world. It could be, I don't know how big it would be, but like once or twice a year, could I get like a weekend in the 15-minute city to enjoy a good movie? Check out their
Just to cruise
transportation
around,
system, cruise
take
around,
in.
check out the women.
Yeah,
I don't know. Just like a
yeah,
vacation. Like, can I go inside the line in Saudi Arabia, wherever that is, and just hang out for a weekend? Will that be
yeah. The line.
will that be allowed?
Yeah, well, I mean, it'd be fun, wouldn't it? But I mean, I kind of agree with you, and especially, like you said, if we're manifesting faster, like clearly a lot of people, shouldn't be let loose with their own minds in this place if they can manifest stuff, right? So a lot of people aren't ready, to leave home, right? That they need
Maybe
their mummy and daddy still. So
maybe
hopefully there
that's
is a place for
that's
them.
what they're doing now. They're weeding out all of the dangerous minds, and
I think, yeah, yeah. It's like, well, we'll just create it bad. Like, the people who can think they'll just take off by themselves, which is pretty much happening. We're all leaving the cities.
yeah,
And then whoever's left, well, we'll just control them and, put them in a 15-minute city and they can be our slaves going in. I think, that's what the controllers definitely would want is still their little army of slaves, right? And I think they can beat this earth change, this shift, whatever's happening, but I don't think they can. But yeah, I just hope that, people who are still following the system, right, and need leadership, you know, I don't know. I kind of think they might stay here and we might ascend into a different frequency, which is probably the same space, but we'll be interacting in it. They'll become like the ghosts, in our reality kind of
that's
thing.
that's actually happening now because like they're like when I and I'm pretty good at it, keeping my vibration high. For a new age term, you're talking about vibration,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
man.
Whatever. I'm like keeping my energy high. Um, I don't even see these negative entities. I don't see them. And occasionally people are quite often people like, did you see what so and so said? Did you see what so and so? I'm like, no, I haven't seen what they said. I don't care what they're saying. Right? They're little
Mm,
out of my life, like things in my past that I don't want to associate with. They're like invisible. I don't see
yeah,
them. I don't.
Totally. I'm the same. I don't meet any of these. Like, I don't talk ever. Like, like I can't even remember the last time I spoke to someone who was a normie, right? That I didn't want to speak to. He was,
Yeah.
one of these sort of that I couldn't
It,
just talk to. I just do not get in the situation where I'm
I,
alone with a person like this, any like ever.
you know what? I'm thinking about it. Me neither. It's like that. Like
Crazy, right?
it's like it
But
rarely happens. It rarely happens. Like some of
yeah.
my old town friends, because I still live in the same town that I grew up in. Um, they're slowly coming around. Like I'll post stuff on Facebook, like I think I posted this week. I was like, I wonder if 2025 is the year some of my hometown friends will wake up, and then I posted a video or something.
Yeah,
A few of them have come around. It's kind of nice. Um,
it's
all right,
it's. I think it's a vibration thing. Yeah, man.
yeah. So
You're going
Campbell, where
somewhere
where
there.
can where can people find you? And you know what?
Yeah.
When we're done here, I want to talk to you about putting you in the Tataria section. I think we'll do that, and I think it'll
Cool.
happen right away. But let me talk to you when we're done. So where can
Yeah,
people
cool,
find
man.
you?
Yes. Autodidactic is my channel. AUTODIDACTIC on YouTube. That's my main place. I do Tataria Australia. I've got a few bits. I'll send Dave a link to my channel and put some under mine. And yeah, you'll send me your link for your channel. I've got it, I
My
think,
link
deep
is
inside the rabbit hole.
flatearthdave.com. Everything's right there.
And
Flatearthdave.com. That's
flatearthdave.com,
the
where of
ultimate link.
course you can get the app, right? The
Yeah,
clock,
you get
no
the app.
clock app with all the videos.
Tons of
Soon to
information.
contain Autodidactic on the Tartaria tab. So there you go.
Awesome. All right, man. Thanks.
Yeah, man.
Thanks.
Great chat.
Good talking with
Yeah,
you. Good long overdue.
definitely, man. Cheers. Have a good
Cheers.
day.
Yep.